Ever.
Well, okay, well, let's change the subject. I was watching a thing on of YouTube, David Packman, and he was talking about Joe Biden not going to run for president again. He thinks that Donald Trump's going to run again, and Pamela Harris has bad ratings. So they're predicting if Donald Trump runs for president again, he will win. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think Donald needs to get polished a little bit more before I get on the train again. I was a fan of voting for him in the first election because this country needs an ass kicker, not an ass kisser. And he kind of took ass kicking to another level. I wasn't too happy with some of his antics, and I was kind of wishing I had maybe a more diplomatic leader who wasn't so willing to give. And I don't think it's Donald, but we don't have anything else.
My friend of mine had a copy of the thing from the Taliban with Trump. He negotiated an exit with the Taliban. He didn't, and he gave them everything they wanted. He kissed their ass in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know right now, Afghanistan is really.
Oh, we fucked that up, Royal.
Oh, Royal. I mean, was it Trump's negotiating with the Taliban, or was it Biden's fault? Whose fault was it? I blame both of them. To be honest with you, I think Biden.
Yeah, that was a poor transition. That was almost like runners when they passed the baton. That baton got fumbled, it got caught up in their feet, and they both fell down.
I voted for Biden. I think we needed someone to be an adult in the warehouse, but I think in the White House. Sorry about that, but I think we got to get someone else. I don't think Kamala Harris is the person for us. I mean, maybe she's just not. It's like she threw her hands up in the air when the things. We need someone who's gonna kick some ass and take names. I mean, in Democrat or Republican, I don't know who's going to be. I mean, I consider myself an independent.
When Afghanistan first started getting some profile, like right before we left Afghanistan, I heard that the reporters were on Kamala about, what are you going to do about, this, that, and she was quoted as saying, "That's not my mess. That's Joe's mess. You can go ask him." And she washed her hands of Afghanistan, and that's not what a leader does.
I agree with you.
I think you sidestepped a bullet and you let Joe take it, and I think that's a bunch of shit.
I agree with you 100%.
But I don't blame her. I honestly, it's a no-win situation, for her.
It's a no-win situation for everybody. I mean, and Joe's 80 years old. He'll be 80 years old for the next election.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of keeping them younger, too. Yeah. That's the other thing I have problems with Trump is that I'm seeing, now that I'm almost of that age category, and, I look at Joe Biden, he has a lot of the same kind of looks that my dad had when he was going through his Alzheimer's, and, it's almost like once you see it in somebody's eyes, you will always know that person is, not right. I know the look. I saw it for 2.5 years, front row. I know the look. I've seen it in other people. I have been confirmed as, she's stage 1, stage 2, whatever. There is a look. And Joe Biden has that kind of glare in his eyes, which is no medical. That's no medical certainty, of course.
He's not a doctor, by the way, so, don't take advice about anything. Because you just
I think I'm going to be a big fan of maybe somebody younger, not Pete Buttigieg or not Pete. he seemed a little young when I first saw him on stage. It's like, who's the kid?
You don't live in South. He was a mayor of South Bend, right?
Yep.
So
yep. And now he's doing he's the leader of agriculture or some crap, or as whatever he's the head of. He's actually boned up, and he's a really good leader in that department. I don't know what department it is, but He's very vocal. He's very outspoken. He just got married. I think they're adopting a kid now. It's the last I heard. It's like, that's pretty progressive because I never heard of anything like that when I was a kid.
Yeah. I mean, if two guys got married when I was a kid, they would probably, they wouldn't let them adopt a kid or anything else like that.
We were pretty bad with the gays back in the 80s and 90s.
Really, we were bad. We
didn't understand it. Even Hollywood didn't understand it, back in the day.
A lot of people didn't understand it, like Rock Hudson, he was gay. He put a mask on it. He covered it up.
Just as good as Norm Macdonald did covering up his cancer. You had no clue.
Really? I didn't know Norm Macdonald had cancer. Gee, that's how bad it
is. Yeah, he had it for 9 years before he died. I guess he was taking treatments for quite a while. Never told a soul.
Norm died? I love Norm Macdonald. Wow.
Oh, my God. One of the funniest dry humor. Oh, man. I liked Stephen Wright, but every time I saw Norm Macdonald do a Saturday Night Live, I would stay up just for the Saturday Night Live just to see Norm. And you can tell he wrote all those pieces. Those weren't manufactured by the writer's room or anything. That was Norm being Norm. That was Norm picking on O.J. Simpson. That was, just he would latch onto something. He would just never give it up.
Really?
I remember he was just all up OJ's ass about, he killed her. Oh, I know. One of the funniest Norm Macdonald jokes I have is, when Johnny Cochran put on the stocking cap and said, "If it don't fit, you must have quit." OJ said, "Hey, that's my lucky stabbing cap."
That's a good one. I love Norm. I didn't even know he passed away. Really, I didn't know that.
He was on my top 5 list of people I want an hour with. Lock me in a room.
Mine is John Lennon. My brother and I were talking about. I never told you I had a stepfather, and he was a son of a bitch. One of the worst person I could ever meet. He was not a very nice man to us. He wanted us out of the house, out of my mom's life, and my mom just threw him out of the house after 2 years of marriage. So that's all.
Wow.
And so we were talking about step parents lately, and so like that. So that's all I can say about that. So.
Well, I'm hoping that maybe I work on my top 5 list. It's a top 4 list now. Just trying to get into the psyche of how Norm put his how he formed a joke was unique. It was deadpan, right on, and between the eyes kind of humor, and that's not the kind of humor. We've been softballing humor, but Norm, he threw it high and tight. He did not care.
I'm sorry about getting stepfather, but I agree with you about Norm Macdonald, and he was. But
why don't you put together a top 5 list, and maybe we can try and get one of our top 5s. Well, I'll replace Norm. I know that there's a bunch of people I'd like an hour with.
I will. I'm trying to get one of my top 5s to go to the podcast. May Peng, because May Peng.
I'll tidy up my top 5.
Okay.
Let's see if maybe we can find a producer or somebody who can get in touch with them.
Maybe we can. Let's see if we can. I'll put my top 5 and you put your top 5 on and see what we can do. You know what? I'm looking at the time on the clock and we have like 40 minutes. We're like 40 minutes running. So let's.
Really?
Yeah, 40 minutes running. So let's hit 40 and then we'll wish everybody a good day. You have anything wise to say to somebody?
I know the boys from Leonard Skinner, the ones that are still alive. I know that they would have stories, and I still don't know who I want to pick out of the ones who did survive Leonard Skinner. I would love to sit down and just get an hour. Just tell me about one day. Just tell me one day what a normal day looked like for you. Like if you were a motorcyclist, how did you get that out of your system when you're out on the road? You know, there's some things that's like, if I was touring, if I was in a band, I'd miss an awful lot. You know, not just the family activities if the kids were left behind or whatever, you know, you're missing school plays and stuff like that or whatever. I'm talking about, you know, like single man out on the road, rock and roller, money, you know, money whenever you need it was available. How do you fill in the blanks of your life while out on the road without breaking the law or getting caught doing something wrong? You know, I mean, it's like there are so many things that I don't know about life on the road that and stories, you know, oh, I met Johnny Cash one night. I want to hear another story about that. How did that go? What did you guys do? Where were you guys? You went out and shot pool with Johnny Cash? I want to hear about the whole night, you know? You know, silly things like that. I want to hear people tell me stories about the things I wasn't there for.
Like, I heard a story about Joe Walsh and John Belushi once. And I would love to sit around in a room and talk to Joe Walsh about his stories. Like, him and John Belushi went to Benihana's, and John Belushi was on something or whatever. He played Samurai Chef.
You're right. The Samurai Warrior.
So yeah, and he took over that table where he was, and he was doing it, you know, the samurai thing. And Joe Walsh said it was scary and funny at the same time. I want to know about that kind of story. You know what I mean?
See, scary. The word "scary," you know, was never mentioned in any of those stories. That's the kind of perspective I want to get. You know, is just to have a nice, cool sit down with. Just tell me what one. I know I don't have the list in front of me, but one of my top 5 is Sam Farha. Sammy is a longtime poker player. He was the one who lost to Chris Moneymaker in 2006 when Moneymaker won the $3 million. And opened up the floodgates of poker players everywhere. I've seen Sammy play for years. He's one of those old school, like Doyle Brunson. He's been in the back rooms. He knows the smoky, you know, house games and all that other. I want to hear about the house games. I want to hear about the cash games. You know, how was it to play with Stu Unger? You know, what was it like to know that Stu was on the other side and you just never knew what was coming? I mean, what kind of mental format do you use to try and make yourself an equal when you're not an equal at all? And Sammy is an equal at every level. I mean, is it a mentality? Is it a process? Is it something you just, you know, like a mask you just put on and you just act? You know, well, back in the day, you know, there was also card counting and shuffle. You know, there was quick shuffling, and there's all sorts of card tricks that used to beat out other people. I'd like to hear stories about, you know, getting caught. You know, cheat because you know those back rooms had cheaters in them.
Of course, in the mob.
That's why they're in the back rooms, because the floor managers don't let them in anymore.
In Vegas, those times the mob ran the casinos. And if you cheated, then you're really in big shit. So
yeah, you're already in the desert. You're in Las Vegas. Good luck finding your body unless the vultures circle.
Have a good. Well, I'll talk to you probably next. Well, you're going to Vegas, so I'll talk to you probably in a few.
Let's talk in a week. Hey, and if we do it from Vegas, I'll give you a Vegas perspective of what the streets look like and kind of get a head count. I'm going to be staying at the Golden Nugget in downtown. I won't be staying on the Strip, so I'll be a little bit closer to the older action, a little bit more to my liking.
Well,
you know,
I love the Strip. I love the Stratosphere Hotel. I think that's a pretty cool hotel. I mean,
the closest hotel to the Stratosphere is the Las Vegas Hilton, just to the east of there. They're both on Paradise. The Las Vegas Hilton is no longer the Las Vegas Hilton. It's called Westbrook, or I don't know. It's like, I can't believe there is no Las Vegas Hilton anymore. They sold it out. It's now a condo timeshare place or something like that. So I couldn't believe that Vegas lost the Hilton.
I'm surprised.
I blame the entire. Okay, it's a business move. That's how